Okay, so today we're going deep on this crazy time for Percy Jackson.
Absolutely a real turning point.
Yeah, we've got all these different stories and like firsthand accounts about the end of his school year, and then bam, this wild adventure kicks off.
Yeah, really unexpected.
Exactly. So for you listening, we've pulled out all the juiciest
Yeah,
details.
we're cutting through the noise, giving you the need-to-know
Oh,
info.
the good stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, our goal here is to help you make sense of it all. Like, what were the big challenges Percy had to face?
And what were the big discoveries?
Exactly, the stuff that really pushed his story forward.
We want to make sure you really understand what happened and why it matters.
So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
This whole thing starts with Percy having this really messed up dream, and he hears this like monstrous roar yelling, "Mingy!"
Uh,
Yeah, and then like the next morning there's this shadow at his window, fifth story window, which is pretty freaky.
Definitely unsettling.
And all this is happening like right as his school year is ending.
End of the year,
Yeah,
chaos.
yeah, except he actually made it through without getting expelled, which is a big deal for Percy.
Right, he usually doesn't have the best luck at school.
No, he does not. Oh, and he also has his special pen, Anklusmos, or Riptide.
Yeah.
The one that turns into a sword.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty handy tool to have around.
Right. It's made of celestial bronze, so it can actually hurt monsters,
Mm.
which is important,
Definitely comes in handy in his line of work.
for sure. But his mom has this, like, strict rule about no deadly weapons in the house after an incident with a china cabinet.
Oops.
Yeah,
So we see right away this clash between his normal life and this crazy world he's a part of.
totally. Like, on one hand, he's finishing school, which is normal for a kid his age.
Right.
But then you've got this nightmare, the shadow at the window. It's like this constant reminder that things aren't safe.
Absolutely. That normalcy is really fragile.
Exactly. And that thing about the pen and his mom's rule, it just shows how both sides of his life are always kind of bleeding into each other.
Right. Even at home, he needs that sword just in case.
Yeah, you never know when a monster might pop up.
Never hurts to be prepared.
Okay, so it's the last day of school. And instead of a chill day, they have this final exam in English class where they're supposed to, like, hang out in the break yard.
Sounds peaceful.
Right. You'd think so, but it turns into total chaos.
Like kids gone wild.
Totally. It's like Lord of the Flies out there. And of course, Matt Sloan, the school bully, is leading the charge.
That guy.
Yeah.
Not exactly known for being a good influence.
No, he's not a good guy. He's always got those like pit bull eyes and wears super expensive clothes, but like in a sloppy way.
Mhm.
And he has this chipped tooth from when he crashed his dad's Porsche.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, real classy. And naturally, he targets Percy, picks on him and tells him they're going to settle things in PE.
Setting the stage for a showdown.
Oh, yeah. So I think it's interesting how the breakyard scene is like this mini Lord of the Flies.
Totally.
It shows how easily things can break down, even in a normal school setting.
Right. That there's always this potential for chaos.
Yeah. And Sloane, he represents this specific kind of bully.
Yeah.
The rich kid who thinks he can get away with anything.
Oh, yeah. Definitely the entitled type.
Exactly. And his threats to Percy, they're more than just schoolyard taunts. It feels like something bigger is going on,
Right. There's this underlying tension.
for sure. So in the middle of all this craziness, Percy takes a minute to look at this photo of his friend Annabeth. She's at the Lincoln Memorial wearing a Camp Half-Blood t-shirt.
That's sweet.
I know, right? She's like smiling, and you can tell she's thinking about her future because she wants to be an architect, design monuments and stuff.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's really into it. And for Percy, it's this little reminder of Camp Half-Blood, this place where he belongs with other demigods.
A little bit of normalcy in his world.
Yeah, it's like a grounding moment for him.
That's important with everything going on.
It is.
But then Sloane comes along.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
So Sloane sees the photo, and he gets this weird look on his face like he's jealous or possessive of Annabeth, and then he just rips it up. I know, right? Total jerk move.
That's not just bullying. It's just mean.
Right. It's more than that.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what his deal with Annabeth is.
Exactly. Like, is he interested in her or just trying to get under Percy's skin?
Who knows? But it definitely adds another layer to the conflict.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so finally, it's time for PE. And usually they play dodgeball. But this time, Coach Nunley, who's like always more interested in his magazines than the students, decides to do a free-for-all.
Oh, no, that never ends well.
I know, right?
Oh.
And to make things even worse, Sloane's team has these new guys who are like super huge and intimidating.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Percy nicknames them Canadians because they look so rough, like they just walked out of the wilderness.
Okay, that's a little weird.
Right. It's definitely not normal.
Yeah, it's like a big red flag that something strange is going on.
Oh, it definitely
Okay.
is. So this dodgeball game is insane. Instead of regular balls, they're throwing these fiery bronze things and they're throwing them hard.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's not a game anymore. It's dangerous.
Hmm.
Percy's teammates are freaking out trying to dodge these things.
I bet.
And even Tyson, who's like this big, gentle giant, is having trouble keeping up.
That's saying something.
Right. Tyson is usually pretty tough. But then the real shock are these Canadians are actually monsters. Their eyes are glowing. They have super strength. And when Tyson finally manages to hit one with a bronze ball, coof, it disappears in a puff of smoke.
Whoa. Okay, that escalates quickly.
Right. Talk about a plot twist. And we find out their names are Joe Bob the Cannibal and Skull Eater.
Those are some scary names.
I know. And to make things even weirder, Joe Bob has this tattoo that says baby cakes.
Wait, what? Baby cakes.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this whole dodgeball scene?
Well, it's a really cool way to mix the normal and the supernatural. You know, you have this ordinary school game and then bam, monsters.
Right, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, and all the little details, those fiery bronze balls, the giants' names, even that baby cakes tattoo, it all adds this layer of dark humor and makes it really memorable.
And the fact that they disappear when they get hit confirms that Percy's dealing with something totally out of the ordinary.
Exactly. This is not just your average school day.
Definitely not. Okay, so the gym is on fire. Kids are panicking, and suddenly Annabeth bursts in. She's got a bronze knife in her hand, and she looks like she's ready to fight.
Like a warrior princess.
Exactly. And the first thing she does is punch Matt Sloan.
Well deserved.
Oh yeah, he had it coming. Then she explains that she's been around all morning trying to find Percy, which means that Shadow at his window was her.
Oh, wow.
Right. She knew something was up. And she's adamant that they need to take Tyson with them before suddenly a Yankees baseball cap appears on her head and she disappears.
Poof, just like that.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah.
So now Percy and Tyson are left to escape through this hole in the gym wall while Sloan tries to blame Percy for the whole fire.
Classic Sloan, always trying to stir up trouble.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah.
What do you think about Annabeth's sudden appearance?
It's like a classic hero entrance, you know, cutting through the chaos to save the day.
Totally. And the fact that she was there all morning suggests she knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, like she had a premonition or something.
Maybe. And her insistence on taking Tyson, even though she doesn't really trust him yet, shows that she's starting to see him differently.
Right, like she's starting to see his good qualities.
Exactly. Okay, so they manage to escape, and their getaway car is this crazy taxi called the Taxi of Eternal Torment.
Seriously, that's its name.
I know, right? And the drivers are even crazier, the Grey Sisters.
Who are the Grey Sisters?
They're these three ancient blind women who share one magical eyeball between them.
Whoa, okay, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, it's definitely bizarre. So the ride is as chaotic as you can imagine, with them swerving all over the place and claiming they know every location in existence.
No, I bet that's a terrifying ride.
Oh, it is. And to add to the weirdness, Tyson, who can apparently talk perfectly fine, decides to tell Annabeth she's pretty, which makes her super uncomfortable.
Oh, that's kind of sweet in a weird way.
Right. He's just being innocent. But the most important thing is that during this whole crazy ride, they get into a fight over the eyeball, and the Grey Sisters accidentally blurt out these coordinates, 30, 31, 75, 12.
Coordinates for what?
They say it's a location you seek, but they don't say what it is.
Okay, so that's definitely a clue, but a very cryptic one.
Yeah, it's a mystery. So what stands out to you about this whole taxi scene?
Well, it's just so surreal and funny. You know, you have these three old women sharing an eyeball, driving like maniacs, and then you have Tyson's innocent comment about Annabeth.
Right. It's like a perfect blend of humor and mythology.
Yeah, those coordinates, they're definitely important, but we don't know why yet, which adds this element of suspense.
For sure. So finally they arrive at Camp Half-Blood, which is supposed to be this safe place for demigods.
Right, a sanctuary.
But as soon as they get there, two bronze bulls attack them at Half-Blood Hill, which is the magical border protecting the camp.
Not exactly the welcome they were hoping for.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
Thankfully, Clarisse steps in to fight one of the bulls, but she's not happy about it, and she blames Percy for the whole thing.
Of course she does.
Yeah, she's not exactly known for being friendly, and it's clear that something is wrong at camp. There's more security, everyone's on edge, the forest looks sick, and there's fire damage everywhere.
Something bad happened while Percy was away.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Camp Half-Blood he remembers. And in the middle of all this, Tyson's like a kid in a candy store. He's amazed by everything and keeps asking Percy questions about Pegasi and even the plumbing.
That's kind of adorable.
Right. It's a nice contrast to all the tension and danger.
Yeah, it shows his innocence. He's not really aware of how serious the situation is.
Exactly. So what do you make of this arrival scene?
Well, it definitely throws you right into the action, and the fact that even Camp Half-Blood isn't safe anymore really raises the stakes.
Right. It's like nowhere is safe.
Yeah, and Clarice blaming Percy, it shows how much tension there is between them, and maybe that she feels like she failed to protect the camp.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And Tyson's wonder, it's this reminder of how special Camp Half-Blood is, even when things are bad.
Totally. Okay, so we need to talk about Chiron. He's like the wise mentor figure at Camp Half-Blood.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he's also a centaur, half man, half horse.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? But he's packing up and listening to this old music from the 1960s.
What's going on? Why is he leaving?
Well, it turns out Thalia's pine tree, the one that protects the camp with its magic, has been poisoned with some kind of underworld venom.
What? That's terrible.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It means the camp's defenses are weakened, and Chiron can't stay to fix it.
So who's in charge now?
Well, Chiron is leaving Mr. D in charge, which
Yeah.
Mr. D, or Dionysus, he's not exactly the most responsible god.
He's more into partying than running a camp.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, even Argus, the head of security, has been fired.
Argus with all the eyes.
Yeah, that guy.
That's crazy.
And before Chiron leaves, he gives Percy this cryptic warning about Kronos, the Titan Lord, not forgetting him.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Not at all. Meanwhile, Tyson is totally fascinated by Chiron calling him Pony.
Ah, that's cute.
Yeah, it's a sweet little moment.
What do you think about Chiron leaving?
Well, it's a huge loss for the camp, and for Percy, personally, Chiron is like the source of guidance and stability.
Right.
And his centaur form, it adds this whole other layer to his character.
Totally. And the fact that Thalia's tree is poisoned means that the camp is in serious danger.
Yeah, there's a major crisis.
And leaving Mr. D in charge is not exactly reassuring.
Let's just say he's not the best choice for leadership.
Definitely not. And Chiron's warning about Kronos, it's a reminder that this whole situation is connected to something much bigger.
Right, there's this overarching threat looming over everything.
For sure. Okay, so now we meet Tantalus, the new activities director, and he is not what you'd expect.
What's he like?
Well, he's super pale, really thin, and he's wearing a prisoner's jumpsuit with the number 0001 on it.
Okay, that's weird.
Right. And Mr. D looks like he's dressed for a trip to Las Vegas, just completely bored and disinterested, and he's got this nervous satyr following him around.
Oh boy, this can't be good.
It's not. And to top it off, Percy sees the New York Post, and there's a headline about him burning down the gym.
Oh no.
Yeah, not good. So Tantalus immediately picks on the cop. Percy brings up some vague trouble from the past, and then tells this story about a king who got punished by the gods for trying to steal their food.
That doesn't sound like a coincidence.
It's not. It's a total threat to the campers. Like, he's saying, don't even think about messing with me.
Okay, so Tantalus is definitely not a good guy.
No, he is not. And things get even worse when he calls Tyson a monster.
Ugh, I hate that word.
Me too. And Percy immediately defends the Caliph Cokes. Tyson points out how he helped save the camp from the bulls, but Tantalus just laughs it off like it wouldn't have mattered if the camp was destroyed.
What a jerk.
I know, right? And then he announces that they're bringing back the chariot races even though they're super dangerous.
Seriously, after all the accidents they've had?
I know, it's reckless. And he keeps treating Tyson like dirt, like he's not even human.
That's awful.
It is. But then something amazing happens. This bright green trident appears above Tyson's head. Yeah, it means that Poseidon, the god of the sea, and Percy's dad, has claimed Tyson as his son.
Wow, that's huge.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And Tantalus thinks it's hilarious, but Annabeth looks really uncomfortable because she has a serious prejudice against Cyclops.
Yeah, that's something she needs to work on.
Agreed. So how would you sum up this whole Tantalus situation?
Well, it's clear that he's a terrible leader. He's cruel, reckless, and he doesn't care about the campers.
Right, he's only looking out for himself.
Exactly. And the way he treats Tyson is just awful.
Yeah, it shows how prejudiced people can be, even in a place like Camp Half-Blood.
But Tyson being claimed by Poseidon, that's a huge deal.
It is. It changes everything.
Yeah, it means Tyson is more than just Percy's friend. He's family now.
Totally. And Annabeth's reaction shows how her past experiences are shaping her views.
Yeah, she's still carrying a lot of baggage from her encounter with that Cyclops who killed Thalia.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so Percy keeps having these empathy dreams about Grover, and this time it's really bad.
What's happened?
Grover is trapped in a bridal boutique, of all places, being held captive by a Cyclops named Polyphemus.
That's random.
I know, right? And he's wearing a bridal gown as a disguise, trying to blend in. And he's frantically working on this super long bridal train.
Poor Grover.
I know. And he keeps talking about how it is there, but he doesn't say what it is.
Okay, that's definitely a clue.
Right. It's like he found something important. But here's the creepy part. The voice Percy hears in the dream, when Polyphemus speaks, it sounds exactly like the monster from his nightmare.
Hold on, that's really unsettling.
Right. Because it means that Tyson's voice is the same as the monster's voice.
Yeah, that raises some serious questions about Tyson.
For sure. Like, is he connected to the monster somehow, or is it just a coincidence?
I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. So, despite all the drama and the danger, the chariot races are still happening.
Seriously, Tantalus is really going through with this.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care about safety at all. So, Percy and Tyson team up, and of course everyone thinks it's a joke.
I bet they're the underdogs.
Oh yeah, for sure. And to make things even harder, the horses are scared of Tyson because he's a Cyclops.
Poor Tyson, he just wants to be friends with the ponies.
I know he keeps saying he won't hit them with his stick. But before the race even starts, this huge flock of pigeons with these weird shiny eyes shows up in the woods, and they're acting really aggressive.
Okay, that's a little ominous.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. And then the race begins, and it's total mayhem.
What happens?
Well, other charioteers are trying to sabotage them, like Beckendorf from the Hephaestus cabin throws a wrench at their chariot.
Whoa, that's intense.
I know, right? And then out of nowhere, these Stymphalian birds attack.
What are those?
They're these terrifying birds with bronze beaks and claws, and they're attacking everyone. The racers, the audience, everyone.
Sounds like a scene from a horror movie.
It was intense. And Annabeth remembers that Hercules used noise to scare them off, so they have this crazy plan to use Chiron's musical instruments from the big house.
Wait, what? That's their plan?
Yeah, it's kind of desperate, but it's all they've got.
So the chariot race is like a microcosm of everything that's going on, you know?
Yeah, totally.
You have the danger, the sabotage, the prejudice against Tyson, and then these crazy birds attack.
Right. It's just one thing after another.
And Annabeth's knowledge of mythology, it's what saves them.
For sure, she's the brains of the operation.
Definitely. So they survive the chariot race barely, and what's their reward?
Kitchen patrol.
You're kidding?
Nope. Tantalus makes them scrub pots with these lava-washing harpies.
That sounds awful.
Oh, it is. It's hot, dangerous. And the food they're serving is disgusting country-fried Stymphalian death bird.
Gross.
Yeah, it's bad. But while they're doing this horrible chore, Annabeth starts to think about Percy's dream about Grover.
She's starting to believe it.
Yeah, she's realizing that it might be real and that Grover might have actually found something important.
Okay, so what's so important about what Grover might have found?
Well, Annabeth explains that it could be the Golden Fleece, this legendary artifact that can heal anything and make things grow.
Like a magic cure-all.
Exactly. It could heal Thalia's tree and strengthen the camp's borders.
That would be huge.
Right. It could save the camp. But Annabeth doesn't really believe that Grover could have found it. She thinks it's too good to be true.
Understandable. It's been lost for centuries.
Yeah. But Percy has this theory that since Grover was looking for the lost god Pan, who's all about nature, that maybe his search led him to the fleece.
Interesting connection.
Right. It's like all these myths are connected somehow.
Definitely. So what do you think about this whole kitchen patrol scene?
Well, it's gross and dangerous,
Yeah.
but it gives Annabeth and Percy a chance to really connect and talk about what's happening.
Right. They're finally starting to put the pieces together.
And Annabeth's explanation of the Golden Fleece, it really raises the stakes, you know?
Yeah, it makes their quest even more important.
Totally. Okay, so now they're focusing on those coordinates the Grey sisters gave them.
30, 31, 75.
12.
Yeah, and Percy has this breakthrough. He realizes they might be map coordinates.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, it could be the location of whatever Grover found. So they need to go on a quest.
Exactly. They have to rescue Grover and find this thing that could save the camp.
But Tantalus isn't going to let them leave that easily.
Oh, no, he does not.
He forbids any quests and tries to scare them with this ghost story.
Yeah, it was a creepy story.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like he was talking about himself.
Right, like it was a subtle threat.
Exactly, like, don't cross me.
Yeah, Tantalus is bad news. But Percy isn't giving up, so he sneaks out to the beach at night.
What's he hoping to find?
Well, he doesn't know, but he's desperate. And then he runs into Hermes, the messenger god, who's disguised as a jogger.
Wait, a god is jogging?
I know, right?
Oh,
It's weird. And he's got this glowing cell phone that he uses to talk to Demeter.
gods and their technology.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But then the phone turns into his his staff with the snakes.
Cool transformation.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Whoa.
And he's got these talking snakes named George and Martha.
Okay, that's just cute.
Right. But Hermes is also really sad because his son Luke has betrayed the gods.
Right. He's siding with Kronos.
Yeah, it's a whole family drama. But Hermes encourages Percy to go on his quest, even though he can't say it directly.
Gods and their cryptic messages.
Right. And he gives Percy 2 gifts, a thermos that says Hercules busts heads, and 3 duffel bags full of supplies.
Those will definitely come in handy.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And then Hermes suggests that Poseidon might help Percy find a ship.
Like magic.
Exactly. And boom, the Princess Andromeda, this giant cruise ship, appears in the Sound.
Wow, talk about divine intervention.
I know, right? And Poseidon sends these hippocampi to help them get to the ship.
Remember hippocampi?
They're like horses with fishtails.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're cool. And Tyson immediately bonds with one and names him Rainbow.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, right? What do you think about all this divine help?
Well, it shows that the gods are definitely involved in Percy's quest, even if they can't interfere directly.
Right, they're working behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Hermes' gifts, they're both practical and symbolic. You know, the thermos represents strength, and the duffel bags represent preparation.
And Tyson's connection with Rainbow, it just shows how pure and innocent he is.
Exactly. Okay, so they get on the Princess Andromeda, and it seems deserted at first, but they find this cabin that's, like, way too perfect. That's suspicious.
Yeah, Annabeth is immediately like, don't touch anything, don't eat or drink anything. It could be a trap.
She's smart to be cautious.
Oh, yeah. But then Tyson is the one who notices this bad smell on the ship.
That's interesting.
Right. It's like he can sense monsters even better than Annabeth can.
Maybe Cyclops have some kind of sixth sense for monsters.
Maybe. But the truth is, the ship is full of monsters, all loyal to Luke.
Betrayal.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
There are Listonian giants, hellhounds, and Scythian Draceni. It's like a monster party.
Sounds terrifying.
It is. And they see Luke training with these monsters using a dummy wearing a Camp Half-Blood t-shirt.
That's cold.
I know, right? Like he's completely turned against them. So they confront Luke, and he's wearing fancier clothes, and he's got this evil look in his eyes.
He's gone full villain.
Oh, yeah. And there's this massive golden sarcophagus in the room. It's like radiating cold.
That can't be good.
It's not. Luke explains that he's working for Kronos, and he's trying to revive him using demigods he's recruited.
That's his master plan.
Yep. He shows them the scar he got from fighting a dragon, and his sword Backbiter, which is made of both celestial bronze and mortal steel.
So it can hurt both gods and mortals.
Exactly. It's a super powerful and dangerous weapon. And then these 2 huge guys show up, Oreus and Agrius. They're twins, and they look like bears.
Like bodyguards.
Yeah, they're Luke's enforcers. And Luke just keeps being awful. He taunts Annabeth about Thalia and tries to use her fear of Cyclops against her.
He's playing mind games.
He is. And he confirms that Poseidon has claimed Tyson, which just makes Annabeth even more uncomfortable.
She's really struggling with that.
Yes, she is. But here's the worst part. Luke's plan is to use the Princess Andromeda to transport his army of monsters.
So he's going to attack the world with a cruise ship.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a crazy plan.
They
So what are your thoughts on this whole Luke situation?
Well, it's definitely a major betrayal, and it shows how far Luke has fallen. You know, he's willing to destroy everything just to bring back Kronos.
Right, he's consumed by this thirst for power.
Exactly. And his treatment of Annabeth, it's just cruel.
Yeah, he knows how to push her buttons.
And that sarcophagus, it's like a symbol of Kronos' power and the darkness that's coming.
Totally. So Luke orders Oreus to throw Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson to this Ethiopian draken that's in the hold of the ship.
What's a drac?
It's like a giant serpent, super dangerous.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's bad. But Tyson surprises everyone. He uses his strength and quick thinking to knock Oreus unconscious.
Go, Tyson.
Yeah, he saves the day. And they try to escape in a lifeboat, but Luke's archers are shooting at them.
It's like something out of an action movie.
It was intense. But just as they're falling into the ocean, Percy remembers the thermos Hermes gave him.
The Hercules busts heads one?
Yeah, and it's full of wind, so he uses it to blast the lifeboat away from the ship.
Wow, that's clever.
I know, right? Talk about a lucky break. So they crash land in the swamp, and Annabeth figures out they're in the Mississippi River.
How does she know that?
She's really good with geography.
It makes sense she wants to be an architect.
Exactly. So while Tyson is off looking for powdered donuts in the wilderness, which is hilarious.
He's always hungry.
He is. Anyway, Percy apologizes to Annabeth for everything that happened with Luke, and she finally tells him the truth about Thalia's death.
The story she's been holding back.
Yeah. It turns out they were attacked by a Cyclops in Brooklyn who could mimic voices, even Thalia's dad's voice.
That's awful.
It is. And the Cyclops captured them, and Annabeth had this terrifying encounter with him.
So that's why she hates Cyclops so much.
Exactly. It's all connected to that trauma.
Yeah.
What do you think about Annabeth finally opening up?
Well, it's a really important moment because it helps us understand her better. Why she's so afraid of Cyclops.
Right, it makes her reactions to Tyson make more sense.
Exactly. And the detail about the Cyclops mimicking voices, it's just chilling.
It is. It adds this whole other layer of horror to the story. Okay, so they're in the swamp, and they run into a 7-headed Hydra.
Hydra, those are bad news.
Oh yeah, they're super dangerous. Annabeth warns Percy not to cut off the heads, because they'll just multiply.
Classic Hydra problem.
Right. But of course, in the heat of the moment, Percy does exactly that.
Oops.
Yeah. So now they have an 8-headed Hydra.
Great. Even worse.
Yep. And Annabeth remembers that you need fire to kill a Hydra.
So they're in trouble.
They are. But then out of nowhere, this steamboat shows up.
A steamboat in the swamp?
Yeah, it's weird. It's called the CSS Birmingham, and it's crewed by undead Confederate soldiers.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
Right. And Clarice is in charge.
Clarice, what's she doing there?
Apparently she's on a quest too, and she's got these celestial bronze cannons she took from a museum.
Resourceful.
Yeah, she's not afraid to bend the rules. But Tyson is terrified of ghosts, which is funny because they're on a ghost ship.
Oh, yeah, poor Tyson.
I know, right? So now they're all headed for the Sea of Monsters together.
Talk about an unlikely crew.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this Hydra encounter and the sudden appearance of Clarice?
Well, it's another reminder that the world is full of dangers and you never know what you're going to face.
Right.
And the fact that Clarice is there too, it adds this whole new layer of complexity to the quest.
Yeah, and her cannons, they could be really useful against monsters.
Definitely.
Oh.
And Tyson being afraid of ghosts, it just adds this human element to his character.
For sure. Okay, so Percy has another dream, and this time he sees exactly where Grover is Polyphemus' island in the Sea of Monsters.
So that's where those coordinates lead.
Yep, and he sees the Golden Fleece hanging from an oak tree.
They're getting close.
They are, and Polyphemus still thinks Grover is a female Cyclops, and he's making him work on this bridal train.
Still wearing that dress.
Yep, but the island is super lush and green because of it.